Thank you for staying with us. We're chatting with Adeoye Abodenrin and Oji Udemezue about Nigeria still in a recession. And we're looking at probably what Nigeria can do in the short term to make this thing not so painful for everybody. Now, during the break, we were talking about there isn't too much money in Abuja to share anymore.
That's the point.
So the governors still go and collect what's available.
Yes.
So, do you know of any state government who's doing anything practical to stem this shortfall that this fall in oil revenue has caused?
I know a couple of governors doing some things. Whether what they are doing
is what they should be doing,
and whether it's sufficient at all. For example, in terms of activity, entropy, movement and motion, you have some things going on in Lagos State, but it's movement and motion. If you think about the end game, you become sad immediately. To have money and spend it on what is less critical to come out of a problem is a bigger problem, is a bigger sadness. So you have governors doing infrastructure, and I salute them for that, putting lights everywhere. I salute them for those kind of things. But when you think about the bigger picture, it's just like an ostrich. Immediately it will hit you. What are you doing again? If anybody, total number of companies being registered in Nigeria are being registered in Lagos State, that's a blessing and a curse simultaneously. But the blessing, the blessed part of that conversation is that, please, can you make it very easy and less bureaucratic to not pay bribes? When you want to register a company, can we make it, for example, in Lagos State, very easy for it to be done? And it's a simple process from your laptop or computer, do something, register, pay this in the bank, send in a teller, that's all. Anybody who collects anything from you is going to be a big problem. Get this thing real quickly. Register for the tax forms and everything online in 10 minutes. You pay at the bank and everything goes on. It's simple to do. But somebody go and create one bottleneck and make that process 6 months, and they give somebody 5,000 and then it moves fast. So for example, I see them saying they are bringing lights, but can a company start easily in Lagos, almost on paper, and also be able to check all your records and everything? Can you please limit the barriers at the ports to import equipment especially? Because all of that is happening in the Lagos ports. So those are things that can be done remarkably quickly. And for the state governors, here's the sad part, they are the ones closest to the people. I understand that 3 weeks ago, I was talking to a pensioner, and I was driving, and the person called me and said, I parked. So I spoke to me like an uncle, grand uncle. He told me that for the past 6 months, he's not collected salary. While I was pension, what did he call it now? While I was lamenting on that, he suddenly tells me that, am I not in the news? I said, what's going on? He said 25 out of 36 states can tell me officially that the pensioners have not been paid for 8 months. Some 3 months. Some, but his own case was 6 months. And these are the governors who look at people's faces. And then I was complaining about that, he tells me again.
And throw lavish parties, by the way.
And then he said, by the way, even the civil servants are complaining, they're also 6 months old. You are the Mr. Governor or Mrs. Governor or Madam Vice Governor. Can you people start thinking about the local economy? Look, can the local government chairman think about community effort that can create wealth quickly? We need leaders now across all the sectors. Everybody is still looking at Mr. President. Mr. President is one human being. Can everybody, and the Senate is not sending us allocation, shut this crap. Creative leadership is about going to among your own people and creating sustainability so that people don't die. Somebody told me and said by 2019, when the refinery in Lekki begins to work, Nigeria will be fine. I wanted to cry. I said, so between now and 2019,
we're not doing anything.
I hope your people are alive. I hope people are alive to even reap the benefit of it. Yeah. We're dealing with people now. We are hearing rumors through social media that people are cooking themselves. There are pictures going on. People are keeping, yes.
Really?
Oh, I saw the pictures. People are sending pictures as you never know what it is. It can be rumor. But you see, I saw the picture. But people, how many family members call? Just everybody list. Just how many family members call you now?
So how do we get out of this?
Now,
yes, we're talking about.
Our lifestyle as a nation hasn't changed, and that worries me a lot. If a nation is in recession, that nation must begin to cut down its unnecessary expenditure. Nigerian government, both at state level, at national level, we haven't done that.
Yes.
We still carry about traveling around, spending a lot of money, in air travels, in frivolities,
budgets,
in parties and all of that. In all kinds of unnecessary things. We haven't taken steps to cut down size of government and size of our expenditure. In national budget today, if you look at this year's budget, at the end, we always hear about the proposal. We don't hear about the actual thing. You will still find that recurrent expenditure to total budget is still going to be over 80%. And that's the structure we are running, and we're talking about borrowing 30 billion in the next 4 years. That is disaster. I'm going to talk more about that later when we talk about our debt situation. And I even had a senior government officer saying Nigeria doesn't have a debt crisis. What we have is revenue crisis. And as a credit officer, credit analyst, and as I am, what leads to debt crisis?
Between the two?
When you are not able to receive revenue, ultimately you default in your debts. So revenue crisis will ultimately lead to credit crisis. To debt crisis.
So you're saying we shouldn't go borrowing this 29.9.
There's a caveat there. People borrow to be able to spend their ways out of recession. We've said, our Honorable Minister of Finance has said that several times, but it's just, how do I put it? Saying things in style to spend our way out of recession. But if you are borrowing to fund lifestyle, if you're taking money that, in an economy where you still part of your debt is what you use to pay your outstanding debt. Look at this year's budget, for example.
You're borrowing to pay
our total revenue projected revenue this year was meant to be 3.86 trillion. I'm not sure we're going to get much of that. But our recurrent expenditure was projected at 4.2 trillion. Meaning what? That when we borrow that 2 trillion we hope to borrow, part of it will be used to fund our lifestyle, and even part of which is to pay our existing debt. So we're going to get into a deep debt crisis if we're not careful as a nation. So government can borrow. We need to borrow. But what are we borrowing for? What are we going to spend the money into? And have we done the necessary? In fact, I will not forgive bodies like IMF and World Bank if they lend to us such aggressive amount of money at this point